Is Cristie Sides going to go Jim Mora for the Indiana Fever?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
And is Lisa Bluder lined up to slide in to take over generational talent Caitlin Clark as she commences her pro career? We will take a look in this video. Before we start, if you like the content, then please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. After my last video on Lisa Bluder retiring, I sure enough got the comment that Bluder will eventually take over the Indiana Fever and coach Caitlin Clark, which I laughed off at the time, as generally nobody leaves a good college gig to go coach in the WNBA. It is normally the other way around, i.e. Nikki Collin abandoning Atlanta during the preseason to go take over as head coach at Baylor. But now I am not so sure, because obviously Lisa Bluder has retired at the young age of 63, and for some crazy reason, Cristie Sides seems very intent on undermining her star player. It is unbelievable. If you saw the comments, I'm sure you've seen them by now, but after their first preseason game, when Sides is asked about what Caitlin Clark needs to improve on, and then Sides talks about how she's gotten in bad habits in college, about how she's always dancing around and not cutting or picking off the ball after she gives up the ball. As well, she needs to take more long two-pointers, which is unbelievable, that comment. Daryl Morey, if he was dead, would be turning over in his grave.
Christy, when you look at Caitlin, she took two-pointers in the first preseason game, 3 today. Is there a balance? What are you seeing that's kind of causing that? Is there a balance you'd like to see with that, or is that something you plan to address?
Yeah, I think she's used to some shots that she's taken in the last few years that are just those deep shots, and I don't know if there's times she comes off ball screens where she's open in that long two area, and we've got to get her comfortable taking that long two. She's gonna get looks. She's gonna get open looks. She's got to figure out, like I gave her a rule the other day, she's got 0.5 seconds to make a decision. When she gets off the ball and she hits one of her high posts and somebody in the high post, she has a habit of hanging out and dancing. That's what she's done. It's these habits that we've got to break. She's got players around her now that she can get out, she can go screen, and the ball's going to get back to her. And that's what she hasn't had in the past, so that's what we've been trying to show her and explain to her.
The other one she said was like, we hadn't had a few makes in a while, and we took an open look in transition from 3.
I think we've got to get with them on video and just have them understand some of the threes that we took were not good threes. Like when we've had 3-4 possessions in a row, we've not had a good shot. It is not time to take a transition 3. So we've got to make sure we show them those clips and they understand what's a good shot at a certain time.
And I'm like, wow, this is the wrong coach to be coaching Caitlin Clark. I mean, even if, let's take, it was interesting. Her Hoops did a recent article on the most inefficient players in the WNBA. And who they are Ryan Howard and Arike Ogumawale. And you know why? It's because they're always going to the mid-range game. We're going to take you off the dribble and show off our mid-range game. And they both shoot 40% from the floor. And when you look at the stats, it's because they're so terrible in the mid-range game. And then the article takes a look at Kelsey Mitchell, who actually used to be an inefficient player, but has corrected that. And what has she done? Well, basically, she either takes a 3 or a shot at the basket. She doesn't mess around trying to take everybody off the dribble and showing off her handle. For a coach to be saying in a press conference, man, we need to get more long twos, I mean, that's almost a fireable offense on the spot. That is a ridiculous statement. And then the other thing that's just unbelievably insane is, why would the head coach give an honest critique to the media on their player, Caitlin Clark, and say, we need to knock these bad habits out of her and she needs to stop dancing around? Which leads me to Jim Mora in his famous playoffs. You're talking about the playoffs. All of that came about, and Indiana would know this, was basically they had an important game to try to get into the playoffs. It was an important game, and they came out, and Peyton Manning threw 5 picks. And then after the game, Mora lit into Manning basically in the locker room just saying, you can't throw 5 picks and give the ball away. And then he goes out in the press conference and basically, before he does his famous rant on the playoffs, he basically says, this loss is not on the defense. We gave that game away by so many picks and INTs.
Start off by saying this. Do not blame that game on the defense, okay? I don't care who you play, whether it's a high school team, a junior college team, a college team, much less an NFL team. When you turn the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 others in field position to set up touchdowns, you ain't gonna beat anybody I just talked about. Anybody. All right? And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked.
And then after that, he was dead man walking, Jim Mora was, because you don't take out your star in front of the press and criticize him. You do it in the locker room, or you say it. And if you want to give feedback on Caitlin Clark, then you say, it's an ongoing process. She's adjusting to the pace of the game and getting used to it. It's just going to be an adjustment process, and she's doing great, and she's trying. So that's what the coach is supposed to say. To say that we're getting her out of her bad habits. You've got to be kidding me. I cannot believe it. And she has a generational talent, and she's going to wind up losing her job because she's going to undermine the player that's going to make the organization a ton of money. Let's say Caitlin Clark is a total bust. Even for the next 2 or 3 years, she is a license for the Indiana Fever to print money. And they want a coach in there building her up, promoting Caitlin Clark, not talking about her bad habits. At the end of the first half, Caitlin Clark is annoyed because she didn't get a call going to the basket. And Cristie Sides tries to settle her down a bit, it seems like, try to handle her. And great. Okay, settle down the rookie. But the other thing is, third quarter mental note for coach. When they get physical on her, I am going to get a technical and complain about it just to get it out there, to get your hands off my Caitlin. Because I have your back, superstar. Me and you are amigos, and I am going to ride the Caitlin Clark train as long as I can take it. But instead of that, it appears that Sides wants to be the tough coach, tough love, really train this rookie up the right way and coach her hard so she develops into a great player. And I am like, good luck with that. See how that goes for you. And you just have Bluder sitting on the background, because if Cristie Sides messes this up, you have Bluder right there. She's only 63. And she knows how to get the most out of Caitlin Clark. And on the retirement video, I saw a few have comments on Bluder. Like, I think Calvin was like, she's an average coach, average recruiter. And somebody else said, there were a few comments. Basically, the undertone was, Iowa underachieved, or they didn't do what they should have done while they had Caitlin Clark. And I'm the exact opposite. I think Bluder put in a system to max her out and max out the talent they had, much like the Houston Rockets did when they had James Harden. They had one player, they put shooters all around him, and they said, yeah, we're going to do this. It didn't work, but they took one of the greatest teams of all time to the brink just by the style, how they played, and maxing out that single talent that they had. And I think much in the same way, that is what Bluder did. And if Sides continues to coach this way and say, yeah, our focus is going to be on taking long twos or making Caitlin do that, then I think it's going to be a short tenure for her. And I would not be surprised if Lisa Bluder would be more than happy to slide into the head coaching position for the Indiana Fever if there are ongoing problems. She could position herself as the Caitlin Clark whisperer. Yes, we have the Caitlin Clark whisperer in. Lisa Bluder has a particular set of talents, and that is getting Caitlin Clark to play well and giving her carte blanche to take three-point shots, which she tends to be quite good at. That is Lisa Bluder's talent. Caitlin Clark, yes, Your effective field goal shooting percentage by doing what you've been doing was over 58, it was like 56% in your college career. Yeah, keep on doing that. That's a good idea. That's the talent of Lisa Bluder. And yes, some will come at me and say, no, Lisa Bluder can't coach in the WNBA. It's too tricky. It's too tactical. She wouldn't last 2 minutes in the WNBA. Well, fine. Their current coach right now is giving her the advice to Caitlin Clark to take long twos. And in my opinion, it cannot get much worse than that. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night.